Hello everybody, welcome. Yes, we're having some fantastic weather. Really nice today. That cold edge has gone and the sun is really warm for, I think, for the 7th of November. Coffee mugs that I made the other day have now been drying. Now, it really is important to make sure that you get your pots really dry. And sometimes people write to me and they tell me about, well, why are my pots blowing up in the kiln? And it's probably because they weren't dry enough. These pots look dry, don't they? These little pictures. But in actual fact, I know they're not dry, but they look dry. So you might be tempted to take a pot like that and pack it in the bisque kiln and fire it. And if you weren't careful, you'd probably find it might blow up on you. So it's really important. Another thing one can do is to turn pots that are drying upside down to facilitate the drying process. Okay, don't forget, always the bottoms of pots are always going to be damper than the tops of pots. So it's logical, isn't it, that we should turn them upside down so we get the sun onto their bases, because that's where the heat, the moisture is going to be held in the base. Yeah, I was pleased with these. They came out quite well. I don't think we did these together, did we? These ones. But you saw me doing the mugs. Now these have all been sealed. So anyway, so they're there, and we'll bring them in at the end of today. Let's go over back into the studio. I'm sort of halfway through making a pot. Let's go there and continue doing that. I hope the light isn't going to be too contrasty because the sun is half in and half out, isn't it? So there we are. Let's move it in a touch. The sun does present certain problems, doesn't it, from a photographic point of view sometimes. Okay. Sorry, minor adjustments. Ah, la, la. Oh, I love it working here in the sun and looking out and looking at the woods up here. All the leaves have come off the trees now, pretty much. Anyway, this is a pot here I was in the middle of making, and I got interrupted, so I've got to finish it off now. So let's do that. Of course, it's dried off a little, isn't it? Because it's... So I've got to take it on from where I left it off. Basically, an opened out cylindrical form, bellied out, I should say. Cylindrical form. Just going to bring it in a bit at the top here because we don't want it to get, one of the things when you're lifting clay is, and you've got it in mind that you want to close it in, got to make sure you've got enough material there to be able to to do that. So it's a case of bringing the clay in. This is not going to be really closed in. Very much more than what it is actually. You know, when you're coming up like this and you're trying to close it in, you know that the pot can get kind of weak around about here if you're not careful. One of the things I've discovered is that if you let's just go back to that there, what I was just trying to say. As you close it in, you can develop certain weaknesses here in the shoulder of the pot. Now if you change the angle here, so instead of going in you suddenly start coming out, you then brace the top of the pot by doing that, because you're giving it an angle. How can I explain? If you take a piece of flat steel bar, it bends, doesn't it? Take that same flat steel piece of bar and bend it at right angles all down its length. It'll then become a piece of angled iron, won't it? You try bending a piece of angled iron. Doesn't bend, does it? Same with this. By coming in and then coming out at an angle, we create like a collar which braces the top of the pot. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to create that, you see, on the top of the pot. Now that is going to strengthen the top of the pot. Top of the pot is really important. It holds the sort of geometry of the rest of the piece. I've got the sun right in my eye here. Never mind, I'll just not look at it. Got rather thin here, rather weak for some reason. No. Yes. Yeah, this pot is not looking good, I have to say. Not looking good. In fact, it's looking like I'm going to lose it. It happens, doesn't it, from time to time? It's kind of it's got softer up the top here, and I don't know what's going on with the thing, but I'm going to get my This is a heat gun, by the way, it's not a hairdryer. but they're very useful for what I've got to do is effectively I've got to stiffen it a little bit here where it's because if I don't stiffen it, it's going to more than likely collapse. Okay, I've given it a little air, a little hot air. Got a bit of an old undulation going on here, haven't we? Oh. Now, one thing we can do, let's just see if we are in the picture properly. Yeah, okay. Let's just bring it in a touch. Yeah, it's got a bit of a going up and down a bit there, isn't it? Maybe I'll get my needle tool. My needle tool. La la la. Now, talking about needle tools, get yourself a decent needle tool. You don't want something like that, which is for injecting cows. You want something like that. I don't know if you can see the difference in thickness. A fine tool, you see, penetrates. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut off this bit of an uneven rim that has developed. And see if I can bring some sanity to this piece. Well, I've got a certain amount of good thickness here on the top, which is actually good, because that will stand me in good stead, because as I said, the rim of the pot here is going to brace the so yeah. Now just looking at the shape down here, God, this sun is getting in my eyes. Now this piece will probably be trimmed underneath. It'll probably have the foot hollowed out, if you know what I mean. But it won't have a foot trimmed on it. Okay, things are looking up. Now I'm opening it out a little bit, flaring it. As I say, putting an angle in here. The other day I was making a pot. What was it? Oh yeah, it was a sort of a bottle. In fact, it was that bottle I showed you the other day that I did that decoration on. Sort of those wispy decorations, like a bottle like this. When I made that bottle, it was perfect. But then suddenly, on the sort of like on the point of the belly here, it just opened up a narrow, about 2 inches. Just a hole, just a fissure, just opened up, you know, after I'd made the pot, and I thought, oh my goodness. So what we did was, I hadn't cut it off, so then I took the bat, flipped it upside down, so the pot then was hanging like a bat, and we left it overnight like that, and just the weight of it hanging the other way, it enabled that, and we did a little repair job on that, and it, as you can see, I finished the pot and glazed it and decorated it, so I'm hoping it's healed. Sometimes when you make repairs on pots, you find, though they look okay and they fire okay in the bisque, but in the glaze firing, something happens and they crack and they open up again, you know, it does happen. I think it's going to be okay. But the point of me mentioning is that sometimes just giving things a rest, you can make a pot, you know, and you get it into a wobble and you could lose the pot, but by taking it, say, off the wheel, putting it to one side, coming back to it some hours later, then put the thing back on the wheel, you'll find that he'll be okay. So now with a tool like this, a trim tool like this, one can, I call it wet trimming. It's just trimming the pot when it's on the wheel now, while I'm actually making it. One could do that to some extent, not narrowing the foot and sort of cutting away the clay at the base, bringing the bottom of the pot in, which helps the form, doesn't it? It gives the form elegance. I was going to take this and pot and smack it with this tool. This is a new tool that we're now offering. It's a paddle with a pattern. A paddle with a pattern, and it's got a smooth side and it's got a grooved grid pattern on that side, which we can use. Now I was going to do that on this, but in all honesty I'm a little frightened to do that, because having got this pot, resurrected this pot I should say, I don't know if I want to smack it now. I might lose it again, then I'll have an embarrassing moment. So I'm going to throw another pot and I'm going to use this to demonstrate it. They're very useful, these kind of paddles, and we hit the pot when the pot is wet, when we make it, with our hand inside to support. You've seen me doing it before. And okay, now let's try and get this pot off the wheel. Now you know what a predicament this pot is in, and I haven't thrown it on a bat. Bad boy. So, how am I going to get this off the wheel in one piece? Well, we're going to do the newspaper trick, aren't we? This is a useful little thing to know. Alright, so we're going to put the piece of newspaper, just put it onto the rim, but don't push it down, just very now what that's going to do is it's going to trap the air inside the... I'll put it on that banding wheel there. Maybe I'll just pull back the camera a touch. Don't know what... Oh yeah, we could come back a touch, couldn't we? Okay, so we're gonna... So I put that over there. Now that, you put the newspaper on and wait till you see like a damp circle where the moisture comes through the newspaper, you see? And then take your cut-off wire, give the wheel a little momentary turn, cut through, stop the wheel, going to get underneath it here, lift it, there we go, and put him on the banding wheel. Aha! There you are, you see, there's a bit of magic for you. It's a very useful tip. So when it's time to take the newspaper off, pull it off very gently, okay? Don't rip it off, because you can deform the rim. La la la. So yeah. Well, there it is, folks. Hum, 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 hum. Yeah. Yep. The old newspaper trick. How does that work, you may ask? Well, what it does, all it does is it traps the air, doesn't it, inside the pot. When you lift a pot that is very soft, what happens is your hands indent the side of the pot, don't they? Effectively though, what happens is by indenting the inside of the pot, pushing in like that, you reduce the inside volume of the pot. Air escapes. When you push in and it indents, air comes out here. So what happens is, if we put a piece of paper over it, it traps the air inside and it stops, prevents the deforming or the imprinting of one's hands into the side of the pot, and maintains the shape of the pot. My dad taught me that trick. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Little tricks. Tricks of the trade. Okay, folks, well, there it is. We'll see you next time. We're going to be putting this on the website anyway. You can find it there. It's made of cherry. Good little tool. I'm going to be demonstrating it. Okay. Keep practicing. Bye bye now.